bump in the middle of the night as well. Dogs do sleep, but they also wake up and then are loud and wake up the entire house and probably by like 6. Yeah. Alright, show me which number or numbers you would like to see you go over on your hand or hand.
Everything but Can we go over everything but first one?
We're not doing. We're doing more than 3. We might do 3. How about this time? We do 5. Okay, so there was a mixture, so I need you to kind of raise your hands again. 1, raise your hand. Okay. 2. Okay. 3. 4. And 5. So we'll do 2 and 3 and 5. Yay! Okay, for number 2, you needed to evaluate. So remember that absolute value evaluating is different than solving. So with evaluating, you would put these in here, -7, -2, and do what's on the inside first. Make this a positive and false.
How did you make it a positive?
It's just the rules of the absolute value.
So like when he opens them, it just makes it.
So when there's nothing else left to do on the inside, you make it positive.
Okay, but what if it's
absolute value can't be a negative?
okay? And if it's already positive, does it make itself negative?
No, it would just stay a positive.
Okay.
Say that one more time. Well, because it became a positive and these two things were multiplying, so I could have just put a dot. Other questions on that one? Okay. For this one, you have to remember your Hoybucks.
What?
To remember that horizontal lines have 0 slope. So if you don't remember your Hoybucks or some version of it, you're not going to get these slope questions right on the quiz and the test coming up. Questions on that one. And then 5, to find the slope from this, you have to get it back in slope intercept form. So subtract 2x to both sides, divide everything by 5. And then from this, you have to figure out which number is the slope. Which one would that be? -2. Questions on that?
I think -2 is positive.
You're just looking at the slope, not the y-intercept. Plus. Okay. So, yes.
Is the test going to be a grade for the first quarter?
Second quarter. So the quiz and the test will both be grades for the second quarter. Quiz is Monday. Test is Wednesday.
How do we have a test on? Oh, I don't see excuse me.
So today we're gonna we finished our transformation stuff already, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So we are going to review. Yeah. So everyone should have a review on their desk. We can either go through this by objective or by page. Which would you rather?
Page.
Page. Okay. So look on the first page. Find any questions you want to see. Do go over, have questions about.
1, 2, 3, just find the slope.
Yes.
2.
2. The 2 is just like the one we just did on the chart, right? Okay, we have 2, 4, 5. Any others on the first page? So we will start with 2 and move on. So 1, 2, and 3 are defining the slope. This is a horizontal line, just in case you can't see this / didn't realize this was a line. This is your line. So if we have a horizontal line, what is your slope? 0. Questions on that one?
And when it's vertical, it's undefined.
Correct. So when it's vertical, it is undefined. Okay. Number 4. We need our slope formula, which I'm going to put up here. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This will be something you will need to know and remember. So I'm going to label these. These numbers are 1/4, -3/4, -1/2, and 5/6. In case you didn't read those. So we would have 5/6 minus -3/4 all over -1/2 minus 1/4. We have to get common denominators for both the numerator fractions and the denominator fractions. What is a number that 6 and 4 both go into? 12. Sure. So I can multiply this fraction by 3 both parts, and this fraction by 2 both parts. For the bottom denominator fractions, I can change just one of the fractions to become 4 by multiplying both parts by 2. So then everything changes. We have 10/12 plus, because of the negative and the minus, 9/12 all over -3/4 minus 1/4. Then we could simplify just the numerators, not the denominator. So we have 19/12 over, yes, sorry, I don't know why I put 3. I should have been 2. -3/4. I was foreshadowing. Right? Up until this point, everything has to be done by hand. At this point, you can do this part by hand or in the calculator. Take this, flip it, and multiply to the bottom, to the denominator fraction, and to the numerator fraction. -19/9. Or you could do that part in the calculator, but you have to do it exactly as I do it, or you will not get the right answer. Alpha y equals, do it again, all the way to the bottom, and do it again. And then you could put in 19 over 12 over -3/4. If you don't put it in exactly like that, you will not get -19.
Does it matter whether the negative sign is like in the middle or if it's like 19?
It doesn't.
Okay.
As long as you don't put more than 1. questions on that one before we move on? Okay. 5 is similar. This would be your x1, y1, x2, y2. So we'd have -2 minus 7 over -11 minus -11. And simplify. What would we get? Louise, your music is too loud.
Only playing.
-9 over 0, which is what? Anything over 0 is what? 0. It's undefined. So if you're not sure, put that into your calculator. It's either going to give you 0 or error. Error, undefined, 0, 0. Questions on that one? Number 8, identify the slope of my intercept. This is very similar to the problem on the shortcut. You have to solve this, get it back in slope intercept form. Subtract 2x on both sides. Divide everything by 5. We have y equals -2/5 x plus 4. But you still have to say what is your m and what is your b. So what is the slope here? -2. -2/5. And the y-intercept? 4. Other questions on this page? At the bottom, it talks about zeros. What is it looking for, intercept-wise?
I'm sorry, what is m? -4/5?
-2/5 is connecting. the
Oh,
line.
okay.
Zeros is another word for what intercept? X intercept. So when it asks for zeros, you're looking for x intercept. What are other words for x intercept? Zeros. There are 2 others. Solutions and roots. Zero, solutions, and roots are all names for x-intercepts. Keep those in mind. Great. Next page. Any questions we want to see? We will go over questions about that.
Nineteen.
19. I feel like someone else said a number, but I missed it. 18. Okay.
12.
Okay. Great. So let's start with 12. If we need to find this equation, or identify which equation this is, you can look at this, figure out what the y-intercept is, figure out what the slope is, so that we know our equation has to be some y equals -1/2 x plus 4. Y-intercept is 4. To So now, to help us eliminate some of these, if we were solving this in standard form, just covering up the x term, solving for y, this could be an answer. This would not. This could be an answer. This would not. If we were solving for y. So now we've eliminated two of them, and we can solve both of those to figure out which answer it would be. Yes?
Why did they do it?
Because we're going down and to the right or up and to the left. Only one of the directions is the same. So here, if I were to subtract 2x to both sides, that does not match this, so it would have to be C. You could solve it to confirm. But if you eliminated them and showed the work for at least some of it, that would be your last option. Right? We will do the others when we get back to lunch. Okay, for 18, if we're trying to find the zero algebraically, one, I'm going to rewrite this because you may or may not understand this. I'm going to also rewrite this one so you have them both at the same time. Okay, if we're finding the zero algebraically, we're looking for what intercept? Y. X. Zeros mean x-intercepts. So that means our y value has to be 0. So we can either change this to y and then change it to 0, or just get rid of this whole thing and change it to 0 and solve for x. So that x would equal 2. And we would write that as an ordered pair. What would that ordered pair look like? 0, 2, 2, 0, 2, 0. It's okay. Just don't make that mistake on the quiz on the rest. Thanks. Questions on that? Okay. Number 19 is something we have to do in the calculator. So we're going to go into the calculator, go into y equals. If there's something there, clear it out, unless it happens to be the same equation that was up there. And we're going to put in that equation.
How do you do the reset thing again?
Second plus 7, 1, 2. So x to the fourth. Minus 8x to the third. Plus 5x squared. Plus 14x. So I was using this caret hat up arrow for exponents, this button for x.
Which button for x?
Once you have that in, you're going to graph it. So your zeros, we're looking for what intercept? X. So we are looking for, where does this cross the x-axis? And we would write these four ordered pairs. Negative 1, 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, 7, 0.
My graph is I think my calculator just died.
And then not turn off.
on track.
Yes. Great. You put negative instead of minus, which is why I didn't graph. 58. You put negative here instead of minus. Other questions on that one? Any other questions on this page before we move on?
I just wanted to ask for 19. What buttons did you press to get all of those?
I didn't. I just graphed it. So we would just write down all of those. You would have to look at the graph and count.
So I would have to change the calculator to be bigger than
Then
Oh, guys, I can move it. I can move it. So it will show me exactly what each.
yes.
Oh, that's amazing. X right here. This is not showing 702.1.
Let's go back to that and to this is. Oh, this should be square.
Right that way.
Right here. That would be why. Then it should be that. Okay. Other questions on 19 or on this page? Go on to the next page. Questions on this page?
One.
Any others? Two. 7 is not an answer to this on text. 4. So for numbers 1 and 2, they give you this set of graphs in a highlight, so you can see which ones are which. C. Sure, it's a little off, but so for number 1, we're looking for which one has a slope of 3/4. Well, it can't be A, it can't be D, so it's either B or C. So find points on these lines that cross the grid lines exactly and count the slope. Which one has 3/4?
C.
Which one has an undefined slope?
D.
D is 0, A is undefined. Point bucks.
Oh, I was right. I changed my answer.
Don't do that. Don't second guess.
Don't second guess yourself.
Don't second guess yourself. The main reason of missed answers, you second guess yourself.
Is that B or U?
One's a B, one's a B.
With the it's $40. It's zero. Just remember that it's zero.
Okay, number 4. Let's find the slope. We have -2 minus -2 over 3 minus 13. If we simplify, what would we get?
0.
0 over -10.
Which is? It's 0, 0. Undefined is when 0 is in the denominator. Or you could put 0 over -10 in your calculator. It would give you 0. Alright, other questions on this page before we move on? For number 6, they give us something about the slope with 1/4, y-intercept with -2. So it should look something like y equals 1/4 x minus 2. One of these is going to be the answer. We have to figure out which one. Doing what we did before, looking at just the y value wouldn't really help us because all of them give us -2. So we have to look and see which one would do this by converting. So if I happen to choose a random one like C, and I'm trying to solve this and I get rid of 4x, the equation becomes y equals -4x minus 2, which is not that. That means D will be similar. So it has to be A or B. So let's try A. Subtract x on both sides. Divide everything by negative.
B.
They match. It is A. But if they did match, it would be B by default. Move on to the next page. Questions on this page? If none, go on to the next one. Questions on this page, 11 through 17.
13.
17.
Okay.
17.
Great minds.
16.
Great minds.
11.
Okay. Right, so with 11, we are identifying the x and y intercepts by putting 0 into one of the variables, solving for the other one. It does not matter which one we solve for first. So let's say I put 0 in for x and solve for y. Y would equal -5. And you would put that as your ordered pair, 0, -5. Do the same thing to find x. But put 0 in y's place. So that x would equal -2, and that would be the order pair -2, 0. For number 13, you have a few different choices, options. 1, if it's in slope-intercept form, you can see if it has a y-intercept of 5, which this one does not. If it's not in slope-intercept form, you can either convert them all and find the y-intercept. You can graph them all by converting. / this is practice, so you could use Desmos. Or just solve for the y. Just look at this part and solve for y each time. If I divide both by -8, would I get 5 here? Yes. This would be positive, so that one works. Here, what would I divide by to get y by itself?
1.
-1. Would that give me a positive 5?
No.
No. Here, divide by -3. Would that give me a positive 5?
No.
No. Divide this one by -1. No. Divide this one by 4.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Those you only divide by the y intercept.
Yes. If it said x-intercept, you would do the x-intercept. For this one, you would have to graph it or convert it back by moving the x term back over. Right, 16, which is a 0 of the function. You can do one of two things: graph this, solve it algebraically. Most of them will say which one. For practice, we'll do it algebraically, but if we want to see it in the calculator, we can do that as well. We're looking for a 0, which is your x-intercept, so that means your y value has to be 0. And solve for x. So that x is
3.
3. If you had graphed this, you would also see that it crosses the x-axis at 3. 17 is another calculator one. Go into your y equals, put in that function, x to the third plus 3x squared minus x minus 3. And graph it. And then you can see which ones are zeros, which one is not. Okay, graph. Yes.
-3 would also create, you just replace all of the x's with 0.
I know, that would be finding the y. So I have one at -3, have one at 1, -1, and have one at 1. So the one that is not is positive 3. Not there. But it's when your answer is
Not the zeros.
not a 0.
It's y.
So it's asking, of these x-intercepts, which one is not the x-intercept? Not which one is the y-intercept. Go on to the last page. Questions on any of these?
1, 2,
3.
Okay, so for number 1, think about your transformation words. What is happening with number 1?
so shifted down, shifted
The y-intercept is shifted down 3. What happened to the slope? Nothing, it stayed the same. So when we plot this new graph, where would our new y-intercept be? Down at -3. The slope stayed the same, so it's going to be the same as the original. Up 1, right 1, as many times as possible. And down 1, left 1, as many times as possible.
Are we graded down if we don't write the full word y-intercept?
You just can't say shifted down to 3, whatever, because you didn't specify what shifted up or down. What happened in number 2? Did it become steeper? It became less steep. Slope is 1/2 less steep or 1/2 times as less steep, whatever. However you want to word that. Less steep by 1/2. What happened to the y-intercept? Y-intercept stayed the same. So if the y-intercept stayed the same, we're going to put a point at our original 0, 0. And what would our new slope be? How would we graph that? Up 1, right 2, as many times as possible. Down 1, left 2, as many times as possible. These did not have a reflected option, but if you see a negative in front of your f of x, that would be your slope has been reflected. Questions on those 2 before we move on to 3?
How do you get 1 like is that built down?
The slope here of this original is up 1 over 1.
Oh.
So we're comparing it to this one. This is it stayed the same. Alright, number 3. The graph of g of x, or the function, shifted up or down compared to the original. Up. How do we know that? Because of the plus 5. And the graph of g of x of the function is steeper or less steep than the original. Steeper. How do we know that? It's a whole number or integer greater than 1. Okay. Number 4. I'm going to draw in the original. You don't have to do this, but can if you so choose. How do you know what the original is? Oh. So if we are comparing the slope of this equation, all of these should say 2, not 3. If we're comparing the slope of the new from the original, what changed? Or which of these apply? So it can't be adding or subtracting. So 2 times more than, because the slope here is up 4 to the right 2, which will simplify to 2 over 1. So okay. The y-intercept is what compared to the original? Which of these apply? 3 less than. It moved down 3. Multiplication and division would not apply. Number 5, we need 2 points where it's been shifted down 2 units and is 3 times as steep. Where would our new y-intercept be? -2.
On the test, the graph's going to be this
It was the fit on the page, so it didn't create a whole new page. If it's 3 times as steep, what is our new slope? 3 over 1. So you choose where your next point is going to be. You just need 2 points. You do not need to create a 1. You don't need more than 2 points. Do we have questions on any of those? So for the remainder of class, you have two options. You can either finish the review packet, keep working through the review packet, or you can work on your Delft Math / linear transformation that's due tomorrow. Need to be working on one or the other. If you finish one, move on to the next. You can work together, use your notes, use Desmos, use your calculator. Let me know if you have questions.